WW3 episode 5. This is the road up to World War III. World War III is around the corner. No. And it will likely start within the next episode. Italy, which has been quiet, realized that they can't really invade Turkey as Turkey is much more powerful than them, but they do decide to do something else. The Italian Empire decides to invade two countries. The three countries, Catalonia, Tunisia, and this northern part of Libya. All three of these countries are incredibly weak, and Italy invades all three of them. They take the coastal regions of the Libyan country and Tunisia pretty quickly. They also start to invade Catalonia and the Balearic Islands. However, resistance from the Spanish and other allies pushed Italy out of the Iberian Peninsula. However, the African campaign works and those two countries are defeated. Italy, now knowing the enemy is the Western countries, formulates a meeting against Western opponents to try to put a stop to Western dominance overall. The Neo-Ottoman Empire agrees to create an alliance with them to counter the Western world. This raises massive alarm bells. Poland and Czechoslovakia, even though they hate the West, they joined the Western area to basically, along with the Balkans, join the Western alliance. No, actually, Poland doesn't do anything. The Balkan Alliance decided to propose a union with the Western countries. They joined the alliance against the Ottomans as well. The Socialist Republic of Spain decided to do something crazy. They decided to try to retake their colonies. First, starting with Panama. The invasion of Panama begins, and the Socialist Republic of Spain takes out most of Panama. This creates the Neo-Spanish Empire, and now it's the first country to officially re-establish a colony. Nicaragua and Panama both split Costa Rica. Costa Rica has no military, so they were defeated relatively quickly. Spreading socialism into North America even more. The Ottomans called for many non-Western powers to join. Turkmenistan joins this alliance alongside Somalia as well. Also alongside is the country of Peru, which is sick and tired of Brazil being there. This causes massive red flags. Brazil joins the Western Red Alliance. This triggers a lot of things. The US and Mexico don't join the alliance. USA, however, leaves the alliance. They have no interest in another world war. The USA was only interested in internal affairs. This breaks the North American alliance, which is good for Canada, as Canada can now spread socialism throughout Latin America. The next target is Venezuela. Venezuela had a neo-socialist country for a while. But the new leader finally joins the Socialist Pact as well, creating another country in the alliance of socialist nations in this area. These countries are going to lie low for a while as well. A new Latin America alliance was created. Did. Did. They decided to side with the West. Peru also called on Argentina to join. Argentina has always been opposed to Brazil. Peru and Argentina create the Unholy Alliance. Both of the right-wing governments joined Italy, Turkmenistan, and other countries. The Middle Eastern collaboration asked to join with the Western forces, says to further surround Turkey. This effort causes all of these Middle Eastern countries to join. Then we have the last massive war, and that's that is the partition of the federation of these countries over here. Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Russia and the Turkish Empire partitioned this area. So, also the imperial nations signed a new treaty with the Eastern Cooperation Pact of a non-aggression pact as well. This ensures that they don't have to ever fight a war against Russia. The Turkish government also started to intervene in the southern Nigerian country. Southern Nigerian country elects a pro-dictatorship and starts to invade other African countries, take out the native Cameroon pretty quickly, allowing the more Muslim northern area to stay an independent state. The Christian portion of Nigeria basically creates a new empire. Oh wait. Actually, the Muslim one does. They seek to reunite the Sahel under Islam and eventually Africa. They declare war on these countries as well, and because of the massive amount of population, they start to invade. The terrorist groups in the Sahel also joined the war. This is the bloodiest war in African history. Chad and Niger surrender. This causes a new massive empire to be formed. This happened around the same time as the partition as well, and creates a new Sahel state as well. Burkina Faso was given an ultimatum and they were forced to join. Oh wait, no, they're not forced. Burkina Faso does not join and warns other African countries to create a coalition against these countries, against this massive Sahel state that was formed. The Western powers accuse the state of being a puppet state of Turkey after they immediately create a new state. Several countries bordering them join the Western Pact as well, creating tension in the world. Italy and the Sahel nation split Algeria. They come from the south, splitting Algeria in half, creating a desert state in the east that is neutral and has very low population. Italy's goal to create a Mediterranean country is almost complete. And the Islamist Sahel Republic, the Sahel dictatorship, expanded for more land. Now they want to get the sea. Sea. So and they invade Mauritania and Western Sahara. Italy invades Morocco, and the Sahel state invades Mauritania. They create basically Morocco and Mauritania into two massive rump states. Here, these used to be much more bigger countries. The borders will be decided by here. Mauritania surrenders alongside Morocco. And all three countries are now very small puppet states and are forced to join the alliance. Pakistan leaves this alliance after they realize the alliance has no use to them geopolitically. Yemen is now finally created as a stable state as well. And they were accepted into the alliance alongside Oman. Ethiopia joins the Western Alliance as well, alongside these three countries here and Senegal. But the appeasement continues. But they're done with the appeasement. Senegal immediately joins the Western-led alliance after they said they will be invaded. In South America, Argentina and Peru invade Chile and Bolivia. Demanding several lands out of them. But the West is not as done appeasing these countries. Italy offers an ultimatum to basically invade these islands over here. And this alliance is now trapped. They have no idea where to go. They can expand for the south, but they'll be attacking a massive state to the south. They do get Angola to join. They do get Zambia to join in the alliance. But Italy is about to make a risky move. They're done with the appeasement. And what if Catalonia or Senegal or these islands down here, what I think these like the Balearic Islands, I actually don't know actually what these islands are called, but these Spanish islands right here, if either of them get invaded, well, it is World War III. The war begins. Yeah, actually these states are we'll give them what I call indicating the puppet states. Yeah. The invasions begin. They were hoping that they would not. But World War III has officially begun. The most deadly war since World War II. Also going to make this alliance a lighter color. Because it's a massive world war. As well. But the Ottomans had one more trick up their sleeves. They got the country of Burma and the country of Pakistan to stretch sides against them. Some experts said that World War III could have been avoided. Did. But it did not. Article 5 has been triggered. Did. As well, but can they make it without the US? They also get Colombia and Chile also join on the side to defeat Argentina. Actually could change these to a completely different color. Yellow. And we're gonna change this alliance to this weird color, a peach color. So the world could be known they are still of a different alliance. The World War III is mostly taking place in the Western world and Latin America. The invasion of the Balkans begins. Bosnia and Serbia take heavy losses. The invasion of Palestine, of Israel, and Egypt begin by the Turks. The Turks bring in the massive army to finally get what they want, to invade Iran. The invasion of Iran begins. Iran is basically separated from the rest of the world, only being kept alive by the other countries. The Sahel region is basically being destroyed by heavy bombing from the Islamists. They also take out this desert nation, had like not many people, and they take out parts of Libya and Egypt and Sudan that is mostly desert. The only victory front so far is the war against Somalia. Somalia is being defeated by Ethiopia pretty easily. Somaliland also joined the war against Ethiopia as well. And with Yemeni support alongside Omani support, Somalia is being defeated relatively quickly. Somalia's military is still far weaker than it is in Ethiopia, and they weren't expecting Ethiopia to join the war. The Islamists are fighting on so many fronts, but most of the countries surrounding them are much weaker. For example, the eastern portion of the Central African Republic is being defeated relatively quickly. Here. They do not want the canal to be taken, so Egypt separates this army away from the Suez Canal. Now, and the other areas here. This is because they know this the Ottoman Empire cannot take the Suez Canal. The Islamic State of Sahel is basically now blocked off at least the top of these countries, and are now, because of so many front lines, are now being stretched thin. The battles in South America begin. Chile starts to be invaded by Argentina and Peru alongside Bolivia to finish the job. Brazilian troops get towards Argentina as well, and basically surround here. Italy defeats Slovenia and does defeat many of these Balkan countries. They do hit a stalemate as well. The problem is they do not really have much energy left. Because of how scarce energy is and they're being blocked off by other countries, they might have no choice but to invade Russia. So, the Ottomans are saying, don't invade Russia. Defeating Europe is our main priority first. First, says Italy. If we do not defeat Europe first, we cannot defeat Russia. There is no possible way we could win against the Russian army, alongside the Chinese army as well. The invasive Awad with the Pakistani and Turkmeni troops connect. Emirati troops and Omani troops continue to invade as well. Yeah, and also with the allied nations start to invade Iraq as well. Yeah. This catches the Turks off guard because most of the army is basically split between three fronts. Creating a fourth front is pretty bad for them. Italy starts to invade Germany as well. They start to invade Germany through the Alps, which is a very costly process. As well. Eastern Europe is on the verge of surrender as well, with Moldova being taken out. Eastern Europe, despite them siding with the West, stood no chance in this war. Yeah. The invasion of southern Germany begins, and the invasion of France begins. Italy also invades Catalonia to launch a surprise invasion. The Italian army is actually being quite confident. This is because throughout the decades, Europe has not really maintained their armies that well. Russia and China have, but not Europe. Europe did rearm during the Ukraine invasion, but then Russia did absolutely nothing. And now Europe has basically ruled themselves out of existence. The invasion of France continues, as well as the southern ports of Catalonia starts to invade Spain as well. After these islands are taken, the Islamists also take Spain from the southern panhandle. Yeah. Go here and also invade Portugal. However, there was a problem. Excuse me. But yeah, they're running out of resources. There are two countries that could definitely give them more resources, but it's very risky. The invasion of Russia, and the invasion of this country, the Central African Union. They also managed to get Mozambique to join their war, along with Zimbabwe and Namibia. Yeah. No, and along with South Africa to join the war. The invasion is set. They invade the Central African Union with a massive surprise invasion. The Central African Army, which is amongst the largest in the world, starts to respond to this mass invasion from the south. The southern states of Africa start to invade the Central African Union as well. Central African Union finishes off Somalia for good, and Somalia's government basically surrenders. It is defeated, which is marking the first of the enemy team to be defeated. Third. Did. However, the biggest mistake they're ever gonna make. They agree to get Poland on the side. They fail to agree to get Poland on the side as Poland refuses. They invade Poland first. As well. The invasion of Poland goes pretty well. Isolating Germany from Poland. These lands will now be sorted out and be introduced to new members of the alliance. Italy annexes all said lands that they wanted alongside the Turks. Yeah, the invasion of Poland continues as well. Well, Poland has now been made a puppet state, alongside Catalonia and the new Islamic Spain. The Islamists annex all of these territories into the state, creating the new Islamic Empire of Africa. They start to invade former South Sudan, and they start to invade Central Africa. Central Africa, despite having a pretty formidable military, is now being invaded relatively quickly. They also start to invade Ethiopia. With the Allies backed down the corner on all fronts, it's going to have to take a miracle to save the alliances. Germany is now pushed back, and the Benelux region is invaded as well. France surrenders alongside the Benelux, leaving Britain and the Scandinavian countries all alone. Italy, a far-right government is put into Germany alongside the Benelux and France. These new governments basically purge all non-Europeans from the countries, creating a so-called perfect Europe in their eye, and the eyes of this new government. They start to invade this northern area. However, the biggest invasion is now going to begin. The invasion of Russia. Ukraine also joins the war alongside China, Turkmenistan, and Afghanistan. They are also at war with China as well. This will be a big moment in victory for the far right in the world if they manage to take down Big Bad Russia. Yes, there is World War II parallels in here. Here. The invasion of Ukraine begins, and the Ukrainian puppet state is defeated relatively quickly. They also invade the Caucasus region as well. Here. They have been unable to really advance into Iran, but they start to advance into Afghanistan, and Central Asia. So Central Asia is being invaded by Pakistan and Turkmenistan as well. However, they were not able to advance that far into them. They're able to take out Tajikistan and parts of Uzbekistan, but the Russian army is now fighting three fronts. Fortunately, the Chinese army meets with the front lines as well, and basically we start a new war. This is threatening the enemy, Finn. However, the Islamists make another awful mistake. They do another 9/11. This time they attack Chicago, DC, and New York, causing the One World Trade Center and other buildings to collapse. The US joins on the side of the Allied powers, pissed off that basically the enemy attacked their buildings. This has been dubbed 9/11-2, and the attack was on October 8th, 2064. This attack caused America to join the war alongside Mexico and Cuba and sympathetic countries. They're only at war with the Islamic State, but they eventually realized that they're also at war with the other countries immediately after, which they immediately declare war on Italy and the countries in South America. This has put the Axis powers into big risk. Angola also declares war alongside India declares war, and the Pacific Island Alliance does as well. This is the first time in history where Korea, Japan, and China are fighting in the same war for the same cause. The Philippines, despite all the disputes with China, joins in the war against it. They join to basically side with the USA, as basically these countries have basically always been allies of the United States as well. Along with India, the war, even also Scotland joins the war as well, alongside Namibia joins the war on the side of the US, and several Latin American countries out of sympathy for the US. This causes the enemy alliance to be in a panic mode. They do start to push into Central Africa and Angola a little bit as well, but nothing can really stop them. Morocco, Mauritania, and Algeria all declare their independence and start to push back against both Italy and the surrounding nations as well. With the help of U.S. troops, they start to regain a lot of their land back. And they start to invade Spain, which is a very costly experience. This even causes the communists to join in. The communists join, despite hating the USA for its capitalistic differences, join on the side against the fascists and Islamists. The fascists and Islamists start to invade Russia even more. They also start a rebellion of Islamists in Sweden, then creating basically a new Islamist army in Sweden. Then the Swedish army alongside the USA puts back the Islamist armies. Iran, with the help of US and Saudis troops, start to push back Turkish troops as well. Burma is pushed back. The pro-Turkish dictatorship in Burma is defeated, causing the wars in East Asia to be a lost cause. The invasion of Central Asia is a very, very, very costly event as well. They basically just join and link up with the Iranian troops as well, with Afghanistan being liberated as well. The Turks also start to lose the gains in Israel and Jordan then. Syria also declares their independence from Turkey as well. Operation Operation Red Desert begins, and they start to liberate a bunch of the Middle East. However, the Turkish army stops the Saudi army, the Arabian armies, from invading. Another front is created in Africa. Well, basically they start to push back the armies with the help of the US and Canada to push back against these rogue African states. Central African Army out-defeats them and outmaneuvers them in the war, also pushing back the Islamist armies in Africa. They also start to push back in these areas here, and also start to push back here as well. But the U.S. is putting most effort into the South American front, and pushes back the Argentine and Peruvian troops. Meanwhile, Colombia starts to invade alongside the help of Ecuador, Peru. Peru has no choice but to basically surrender at this point, giving Argentina basically a last stand scenario in South America. The invasion of Europe begins, or the liberation of Europe. France is liberated. The French government in exile comes to reclaim France as well. The Russians start to push back with massive pushback. They start to push back against, but again, that's because World War II and the Napoleonic Wars. Russia cannot be defeated. It is just a statement of fact. Winter always wins against the invaders. That is here. This causes Russia to push back all the way to the Polish border as well, and Iran to liberate all of these areas here, leaving Turkey back to its land. Turkmenistan and towards Pakistan. These countries are now basically isolated. As well. Pakistan signs a peace treaty with India, and China, basically surrendering. And they will not receive much harsh consequences. Meanwhile, Turkmenistan basically pulls a Paraguay and legit fights into the last man standing. The liberation of Romania and many of the Balkan states continues. Rebellions in Germany also continue as well. Taking back Europe is now the number one priority. The invasion of South Africa begins, and South Africa is basically being defeated relatively quickly. These countries are now basically just cut off from the rest of the world and surrender. Now we have the Islamic Empire versus the U.S. The U.S. declares this a second war on terror, or a lot of people call it World War III, and basically the Islamists are kicked out of North Africa, only found in the desert. Egypt, alongside Sudan, help liberate these countries. And Western Sahara is liberated. Also, the liberation of Senegal and Mali and Burkina Faso began. It had to liberate Mauritania and all of this land here. Argentina is starting to be invaded by Brazil, and a lot of Argentina surrenders at the Buenos Aires is captured. The Middle Eastern state starts to be invaded with its inland territories as well. Kind of like with Germany in World War II, and also Turkmenistan and Paraguay, this country is never going to surrender and is going to fight until its last breath. Both Turkmenistan and the Islamist states surrender at the same time. Now it's just the Ottomans and the Italians left. Back to just the old territories. The takedown of Turkey begins as well, and also the takedown of Italy begins. Italy starts to be invaded from Sicily and the islands as well, as they capture Rome as well. Not the Vatican City, because Vatican City is still a separate country as well. Also Ankara falls, which means the Turkish Empire fell. Now let's do the peace treaty. Here is the peace treaty. The Islamist states will be erased from existence as well. The Far will still regain its independence, but the Al-Qaeda-esque states will be erased. Niger and Chad will basically regain their former territories alongside of Mali as well. Mauritania will annex some former Malian land as compensation for this war. Yeah. Same thing with this part of Niger, which will also face some compensation for the war. Morocco doesn't really get anything out of this as well. Italy is now broken into several states, including a southern part of Italy, this part of Italy, which is now Vatican, a Roman state, a central Italian state, a northern Italy state, a Venetian state. Slovenia regains back all of its land. Here, Croatia gains back all of its land as well. Serbia gains back a lot of its land, and Albania finally gains its independence as well, and a Macedonian state as well, alongside a Bulgarian state. Thrace also gains its independence as well. Southern Serbia chooses to unite with Serbia as well, and also, as a consequence, all Turks will be expelled back to Turkey following the Balkan conquests. Of course, any Turks that have been living before Turkey colonized the areas, for example, Turks in Bulgaria and Greece and other areas that have only been living there for centuries, will not be considered for this, and they will stay. Basically, they're forcing people to have like an ancestry test, but basically because everybody kind of has like a digital ID or something, this is pretty easy as well. Turkey will be forced to give Kurdistan an independent state as well. Iraq will also finally become an independent state again. Also, Jordan will regain back its lands, and Lebanon will regain back its lands alongside Syria. Yeah, and also this little state will become an independent state as well. The Middle Eastern alliance will finally be dissolved after the Turkish threat is gone. As there is no need for the alliance, and thus create a neutral economic alliance. Yes, peace in the Middle East hopefully will be achieved at last. Israel also creates this state as a new Palestine. So basically anyone who believes in Palestine will move to this area. Yeah. Pakistan will be forced to give Kashmir to India. Yes, because they were involved with the enemy in World War III, they will be forced to give this land to India. Turkmenistan's dictatorship is overthrown and forced to be in the Russian alliance. Yes, as compensation. Same thing with Burma. Burmese state is dissolved as well, and it is split into several territories. Yeah. Now let's go to South America. The North American Sealed Alliance is still here. The countries that collaborated with the U.S. joined the alliance as well. So Colombia, Bolivia, and Chile joined the alliance. Argentina will basically be treated like Germany. The northern area will be occupied by the Brazilians. This area will be occupied by the US. This area will be occupied by the EU. And this area will be occupied by the Chile. And this small northern area will be occupied by the UN. And this area down here will be occupied by China. Same thing will be done for Peru. This area will be occupied by Colombia. This area will be occupied by Brazil. This area will be occupied by the USA. This area will be occupied by China. And this area will be occupied by the UN as well. The UN is reformed, and basically, once Peru and Argentina will basically become like the Germany and Italy, and just be occupied as well. Yeah. Basically, this area will be made so by the African states to make sure Islamists never rise again. Somalia will be occupied by Ethiopia until Islamists are purged from the government. Somaliland will not face said consequence. As well. The Balkan Sealed Alliance doesn't have to exist anymore because the Turkish army does not own that area. Yeah. Also, these states will become independent again. Also, this weird enclave will be erased from existence as well. Yeah. And that is the aftermath of World War III. The year is now 2075 as well. Humanity has also finally landed on Titan and might begin the first colonies on that moon. But other than that, I wonder how World War III will have worked out in space. But apparently, we might be ending a second Cold War. A Cold War II? Stay tuned for episode 6. And we'll see what happens between the West and of course the US allies alliance, and of course the Japanese alliance and the East, alongside with the Neo-Comintern. Goodbye.